Welcome back to the Irish Bandit channel, or if you're new here, welcome to the channel. I, as always, am your host, the one, the only, the second Irish Bandit. Last week on their Twitter account, Final Fantasy VII asked, what does Final Fantasy VII mean to you? They asked fans to put out just a small video, short video, detailing what Final Fantasy VII meant to them, be it what themes resonated with them 25 years later, who their favorite character was, if they have a collection, artwork, or any tattoos, or just basically why Final Fantasy VII is your favorite game. Well, of course, seeing this, I put out like a 19-second video on Twitter, you can check it down below, about what Final Fantasy VII means to me, and more specifically, who my favorite character is. I'm going to get into that later on in this video about who my favorite character is, but I don't think it's hard to see who my favorite character is. Can you see her? Can you see her? She's right over there. I'll bring her back later. So I did that video, but then I thought, you know what? There's more to that than just, my favorite character, or if I have a collection. I have a collection, but it's not huge. Like, I know that there are some hardcore collectors out there. I'm not one of them. I have a few pieces. Like, I have that cloud print that Rider Pride 639 gave me. I have the Aerith statuette over there on my PC. I have an Aerith wall hang just on this side of my wall here. I have a Cloud stuffy, I guess you could call him. And I've got, of course, the Buster Sword, the centerpiece of my collection, the crown jewel of my collection, I guess you could say. But what does Final Fantasy VII mean to me as a fan? Well, I started thinking about that and thought, 19 seconds just isn't going to cut it. I'm going to need to do an entire video on that subject. So let's talk about it. What does Final Fantasy VII mean to me? And I'm going to do something at the end of this video. We'll talk about that then. First and foremost, why is Final Fantasy VII my favorite video game? In all my time playing video games, no other video game has resonated with me like Final Fantasy VII. Sure, I'd played, Super Mario Brothers and all the Mortal Kombat games like that in the past. Growing up with the original Atari when I was a kid, well, not the original Atari, we had a knockoff system called the Genesis, no, not the Genesis, the Gemini. So, but it would play a lot of Atari games. So, and yes, we had the Atari 2600 game, E.T. I'm sorry, I thought that was the greatest game ever when I was a kid. Looking back on it now, I was dumb. But, I mean, you grow, you evolve, you change. You find Final Fantasy VII and you realize, oh, that's what a great game should be. I love Final Fantasy VII for many, many reasons. The characters, how deep and complex each one of them are. A couple issues aside, we'll talk about my least favorite character when we talk about that. The story itself and the themes surrounding the story of life, just the deep-rooted environmental message as well. But when you have the meaning or the whole theme of life, this big conglomerate evil corporation sucking the life from the very planet, and you have a small group of people trying to fight for that planet. I think that's something anybody with any... I should choose my words carefully here. I think that's something anybody could believe in, honestly and truthfully. But then you go deeper and you have the conflict between Cloud and Sephiroth. You have Cloud and his memory issues. You have all these intersecting characters, Cloud and Barrett, Tifa and Barrett, Cloud and Tifa, Tifa and Aerith, Cloud and Aerith, Vincent, Yuffie, Sid and Shinra, everything that just goes along. It just makes for a deep-seated and well-told game. Story, actually, not just a game, because, this is an RPG. You choose what your character does, what the character does, and they go from there. But the story behind it, because the original Final Fantasy from 1987 didn't have much of a story to it, or much of a backstory for the characters that you picked. It had a little bit of a story, you go and fight Chaos. Chaos! Strangers of Paradise. I still gotta play that game. That does look interesting though. But as the series evolved, you had these more story-based games like Final Fantasy II, Final Fantasy VI, the story behind that. And then you come up to Final Fantasy VII, the first PlayStation game. Final Fantasy VI being the final Nintendo-produced game, and then Square saw the benefits of going to CD-based gaming and released Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation back in 1997. But everything with that game, the story, the emotion behind it, I'm going to get into spoiler territory. Normally when I talk about Final Fantasy VII, I try to keep it spoiler-free. I can't for this video. So from here on out, there will be spoilers when I talk about the characters, but we'll get to that in the next segment. So, like I said, the story is deep, engaging, enthralling. You resonate with most of the characters on some sort of level. Like I said in my video, that some things that resonated with me with Aerith are her compassion, her sweetness, her sassiness, the way she looks for the goodness in everybody. I guess you can kind of lead that into my favorite characters segment, which will be next. But this, I mean, I could go on and on about the story, but it's just, oh. And then you get to the moment. Ah, yes, the moment. The moment that made millions of fanboys cry, myself included. When you reach the end of Disc 1, when you played the original game when it came out on the PlayStation, at the end of Disc 1, there's a moment that still resonates with the fandom to this very, very day, and it's honestly something I'm not looking forward to when it comes to the remake, Rebirth, when that comes out next winter. Don't know when next winter, we just know it's going to be next winter. After you are done at the Temple of the Ancients, something happens. The Temple of the Ancients is reduced down to the black materia, which you need to find in order to stop Sephiroth from summoning the ultimate destructive magic meteor. But at that point, Sephiroth takes over Cloud's mind and makes Cloud hand him over the black materia. Enraged at what he's done, Cloud goes off and starts attacking Aerith. I almost said Tifa. No, that's not it. If it isn't for the other party member you have at this point of the game, jumping down trying to stop Cloud, he probably would have hurt her more. So then the team resumes in Gongaga. Aerith has taken off at this point and is heading to the City of the Ancients. At this point, you have to go find out where the City of the Ancients is. You have to find the Lunar Harp to wake up the sleeping forest, then go to the City of the Ancients. You take a bit of a rest, and then it happens. You find Aerith kneeling at an altar, praying. You don't know why at this point, but it all becomes clear later on in the game. You jump across, but that's when Sephiroth takes a hold of Cloud again, picks up his Buster Sword, goes to swing if he's not stopped by his other two team members, whoever you have at that point. Normally at this point I have Tifa and Barret in my team, but it's whoever you have. They stop you from swinging. Aerith looks up at you, and then something that has never been done up until that point in a video game, one of the main characters dies when Sephiroth comes down and kills Aerith. It is one of the most shocking moments in gaming history. You don't see any blood. There's none, not a drop. But the fact that a main character dies right out of the gate, like not even halfway through the game. This was something that was unheard of at the time. But it still resonates with the fandom all these many years, 25 years later. It is something that's still talked about to this very day. It's debated on. There's always been a urban legend where you could revive Aerith. You can't. Not even with Game Shark. Sorry, guys. I don't know how it's going to happen in game 2 of the remake project Rebirth. But oh my god, if what they did with Jesse in remake is any indication, like truth be told, I was watching Ryder Pride play Final Fantasy remake when it came out, and from the very start of the game when he started to the very end, I think it's easier to count the points where I wasn't crying. Like the game started, I was crying. You had the scene with Aerith in her red dress meeting up with Cloud. I was crying during that. The assault on Sector 7 plate tower. I cried during that. End of the game. I cried at that. And I don't care. It's, it's kind of funny. About a year afterwards, Square was doing a showcase. This was still, we're still in the pandemic, but whatever. During the Square showcase, they were showing off the latest Life is Strange game. And I just made this joke along the lines of, I don't play video games to feel feelings. Ryder responds with, right. And a gif of Aerith in her red dress. My response? Shut up. But it's true. If a video game makes you feel feelings, that's great. You didn't get emotional playing Pong back in 1970 or by 1970, whatever. But with a game as good of a story as Final Fantasy VII, you're allowed to feel feelings. So one of the other things they asked was who your favorite character in the game was and why. Well, I said in my video that my favorite character was Aerith, which is absolutely 100% true. She is my favorite character, simply because of her caring nature, her just being a total sweetheart, having that sassy side to her, and looking for the best in everyone no matter what. That's everything that I loved about Aerith, and it's everything that they emphasized in Remake. Like, especially with Brianna White's voice acting. My God, she is my Aerith. I was blown away by the job she did. Like, I know they had some other voice actors in the past for her. I didn't like, hot take, I didn't like Mina Savari as Aerith in Kingdom Hearts. There was just something I just couldn't get behind with her as Aerith. But Brianna White has done such a fantastic job. The delivery she has, oh my God. Especially in the resolution scene. When Aerith, at this point, has been captured by the Turks. She's imprisoned at Shinra Towers. And the gang is at Elmira's house, just recouping after that. After the Sector 7 plate has fallen, Aerith is back at Shinra Towers. And Cloud has that dream where he goes to see her in the garden, and she tells him, "You can't fall in love with me." I'm kind of happy Ryder didn't get that resolution scene. He got the Tifa resolution scene originally through his first playthrough. If I would have saw that during his first playthrough, I know the first thing I would have put in the chat was, "Oh my heart!" And I probably would have been on the floor bawling my eyes out at that scene, because it's pretty much a meme at this point. But when she says, "You can't fall in love with me," everyone else on the planet's like, too late. Because it's the truth. But I absolutely love Aerith. She's still my favorite character to this day. I don't have if I had to pick a least favorite character, it'd probably be Kath Cid. He's Kate or Cat She or Kate She or whatever. He's pretty much friggin' useless. Honestly, if you ask me. But I think every other character has redeeming qualities to them. Cloud is just this sullen loner. Barrett is this rough, gruff person with a heart of gold who's doing what he thinks is right for the planet and for his daughter. Tifa is this sweet, vulnerable ass kicker. Vincent is just this broody, dark being. Yuffie is kind of hard to pin down, honestly. I don't spend too much time with her. Red 13 is just cool because he's a dog. And Sid is just this foul-mouthed pilot who He has dreams of going into space. But there's something about every character that you can love. And, you know, I'm still of the opinion if one character is your favorite, that's awesome. Like, my favorite may not be your favorite. Your favorite may not be my favorite. But we can agree that there are qualities about every character that we like. And whoever your favorite character is, that's awesome. I will never, ever say one character is better than the other. Even though every character is better than Kate Sith. I think we all agree on that one. But Final Fantasy VII is my all-time favorite game. I can't stress that enough. What does Final Fantasy VII mean to me? Final Fantasy VII means everything to me. It is my favorite game and a game I absolutely love. And for the first time, I'm going to share something with you guys because you know how I like to write. Well, I've been writing something recently, and I think I'm ready to share part of it. Not all of it. It's not done quite yet, but I am going to share some of it. I've been working on a Final Fantasy fanfic, Final Fantasy VII fanfic, of something that I think should have happened at a certain crucial moment. I already talked about it once, but I'll read part of it to you. Not all of it, like I said, it's not done. I'm not ready to read all of it yet, but I will read the first little bit of it. Short story is called Sleepless, a Final Fantasy VII fanfic. And it's told from the view of Cloud. I'm having a difficult I'm having a difficult time trying to sleep. All around me are distractions. To my left, I can hear Barrett snoring, loudly and annoyingly. Over in the corner, Cat Sith's lifeless animatronic body just stands there, staring at nothing. It's actually kind of creepy. Red 13 is curled up in a corner somewhere. He looks like he's running in his sleep. I guess you can take the dog out of the canyon, but you can never take the canyon out of the dog. Vincent is resting peacefully. He must be having a particularly good nightmare tonight. Sid's still awake as well, puffing on his cigarette out the window. He turns his head and notices that I'm still awake. He crushes his smoke out, then walks over to my bed. "Kid, you still awake?" he whispers to me. I nod my head. "Yeah, I'm still awake, having a hard time sleeping." He nods in agreement. "Shit. After we went through, I'm surprised everyone else is sleeping soundly." I sit up in bed as Sid takes a seat next to me. We sit in silence for the longest time, until we hear it. It starts out low, but then can be heard more plainly. The sound of Tifa and Yuffie crying. Sid sighs. They've been crying on and on for hours. I turn my head slightly. "How do you know?" His hand brushes his short, blonde, slightly graying hair. "'Cause honestly, kid, I've been crying on and off for the past few hours myself. We never really had the time to process what happened. You, Tifa, and Barrett just kind of got tossed into the fight with Genova before we even knew what the hell was going on. The rest of us just waited. But from what Tifa told me, you handled that fight like a trooper, kid." He puts his hand on my shoulder. "Thanks, Sid." I sigh. I can still hear the sound of Tifa and Yuffie crying. It rips at my soul. "Kid, Cloud, what the hell happened?" I've tried replaying the events in my head over and over. It just comes out in a blur. I try my best to explain to Sid everything that happened. And that's where I'll leave that. Maybe I'll read the full thing when I'm finished with it. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll make a special video about that one, just reading that. But yeah, so that's a little bit of the fanfic that I've been working on for Final Fantasy VII. So let me know what you think about it, if you like it or not, if you want to hear more. And while you're doing that, why don't you tell me, what does Final Fantasy VII mean to you in the comment section down below? I'd really love to hear. While you're down there, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. In the description, you're going to see a link to all of my social media and all the ways you can help support this channel. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, yes, Reddit, Redbubble. Redbubble's next. You can get your Irish Manic merchandise at my Redbubble store, and you can pre-order your copy of Shade Falling. Just a few more weeks until the e-reader version will be available, so go check it out. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. If you've already subscribed, tap the bell and you'll be notified whenever a brand new video goes live. I will be back on Tuesday, and I'll be talking about my top 5 favorite episodes from season 3 of Criminal Minds. Then on next Thursday, I will be talking about things I want to see in the next season of my favorite Netflix series, Cobra Kai, probably my favorite TV series as well. And then in a couple weeks, I am going to be talking about my top 10 favorite characters from TV and movies. I'm going to be splitting them into 2 videos. 10 through 6 will be Tuesday, and then the top 5 will be the following Thursday. So be sure to join me for that. Until then, have a great weekend. I'll talk to you guys again very, very soon.